Well, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you might be in the world. Oh no, he is a Crusader. The Crusader. I'm just wondering if the Crusader was being banged up. There he's arrived. The Crusader has arrived. Tell me, Crusader.
I'm late to the
What?
party again. Where are you?
You're late to the party as ever. Of course you are. What on earth's occurring with your problems in the world at the moment?
Well, it gets interesting because now the council has basically halted all model flying at the airfield.
Oh no.
They
It
can't get it
stuffed
for
it
his
up
get at
for
his mates.
everybody.
But there is now a great deal of backtracking, backpedaling going on because I have all this communication saying all these things that I have to do. And someone else has contacted them and they've said, oh, no, don't have to do that. Yet I've got the written confirmation that that's what they're demanding. So what they're trying to do, I think, is say, oh, no, it's been a misunderstanding. Oh, no, whatever. But I've got it all. Never engage in phone conversations with the council, always email. You've got the written audited trail, but now they're telling people verbally that's not the case. But I've got the emails that prove it's the case. So they're trying to back out of this without having to lose face, but it's not going to work.
So, I mean, if for anyone that hasn't seen, I think it was about 6 or 7 hours ago, you put out a video where you went round to the council offices and the lady behind the desk very nicely you said, well, can you show me where this is on the internet? She went, tippity, I'll have a go, tippity tap. Oh, no, I can't. Then you asked her, oh, can you look in your own private systems, as it were? Tippity tap. Couldn't find it there. So that's where we're at. The laws, or not laws, bylaws?
Rules.
No, rules. What?
Rules.
Rules that they're trying to get you to comply with are not actually written down anywhere, therefore they're not rules. That's where we're at, isn't it?
Again, it's bullying. You assert that something is the case and your behavior must be changed because of this fact, but it's not a fact at all. You make stuff up. It's like you're not allowed to fly in the parks without a pilot's license or model flying New Zealand wings when their own policy says the opposite. Yet I raise that and I say, we don't acknowledge that. And it's so they are trying to bully. When I went to the council, tried to film them in chambers, I have a legal right to do so. You are not allowed to do that. They make stuff up and assert it as fact and try to change your behavior. And that is bullying, and I'm not standing for it. So it's been a huge amount of support from people all over the world who've had a guts full of these petty bureaucrats and their mean, vindictive, bloody persecutory ways. And they're feeling the heat, I think.
It's just beggars beliefs, isn't it? But will you, or you think you know the root cause of this, but surely they're going to have a meeting where they say it was person X and this is why we did it.
No, but see, it's not person X because there's been so many changes of people that you can't say it's person X. It's an ongoing agenda over many, many years. And there's so much evidence I've got here and stuff. And I've now got people who will speak out to say this was simply done to get at me. People who are in the system and now are not in the system anymore. They're prepared to stand up and say there was an agenda. This was done basically just to piss me off. So when people or formerly inside the organization are prepared to speak out against it, it's pretty hard to defend against that. Whistleblowers are very useful people.
Absolutely, and I hear you might have one that whistles loudly about the tower as well.
Yes, exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. That is so. Cool.
And I think what they're trying to do now is back out. Oh no, it was misunderstanding, whatever. No. I've got it in writing. Everything is in writing. I've got evidence for everything. And I think most people, when they're faced with this kind of abuse, and so they just back away, or they just I can't do anything. But I go out there and I do my homework. I did that video, went to the council chambers, got all my ducks in a row, all the evidence there. They incriminate themselves by their own mouth. I'm not making stuff up. I don't make allegations. I produce evidence and facts, and they don't know how to cope with that.
Oh, evening, Anthony, and it's not going out to YouTube. I wonder why. I wonder if YouTube is disconnected from this, as it sometimes does. No, and Martin Lando and Barbara Bain wouldn't have any of these issues. Saying. When I was watching his video earlier, I did notice that in the background, and there's Ian's in the background there. Yeah. And I was thinking I may have to break out the $79 printer to make my own one, because it appears I am the odd one out.
Indeed you are.
But I might have to select a different spaceship from that series or another one, just because otherwise
non-conformist.
Non-conformist, exactly. Now, Ian picked up a very interesting thing, this week, which I'm going to jump to. And in a normal spectacular fashion, this will probably go wrong. But what was the podcast? Shall we have a listen to it first? And then
which our adversaries might use, or the practices which even are common in the UK with hobbyists.
Let's go back to the beginning.
The practices which our adversaries might use, or the practices which even are common in the UK with hobbyists or journalists or whoever it might be that's trying to put a drone in an environment where we don't want it. The second thing then is to have some confidence in the equipment that we're using. We gain that from the exercises that we go on, and that really gives confidence for the gunners operating the kit, but also in the command as well from the bottom up, that everyone is clear on what the threat is and clear on how to counter the threat as well.
So this was interesting. This is an RAF's own kind of internal podcast, which they then put out to other media. So they talk on this a lot more unfiltered than they would do if they were being interviewed otherwise. So this was like a new, it came across like kind of a newer commander in the counter drone parts of the RAF. So there was a few people involved in the counter drone that were interviewed. This is somewhere around about an hour of talk. But when I first heard this, I was listening to it to listen to some of the things that have gone on with Gatwick, because you've actually got the guy that was the liaison between the police and the RAF that speaks on this as well. And I had to do a double take on this and play it back. And as you'll have noticed, then they didn't say, "Oh, we're being tasked to deal with criminals. We're being tasked to deal with terrorists." The first two, and the only two they mentioned there, were hobbyists and journalists. And I think the journalist one is the one that particularly concerns me, because it suggests that the powers that be are more concerned, that a drone will be flying over and see Prince Andrew sweating and put that on the front of a tabloid than they are about really anything to do with drones, where we're normally told that it's about, a terrorist might get it, blah, 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 and so on. And it gives the impression there, that's his training. He's come out with that, To me, I would consider that highly unusual to blurt that out. The fact that he doesn't suggests they consider that quite normal and not unreasonable to say. But I think in a democracy, it's a slightly worrying thing. You expect that in China. We all know the first geofence was Tiananmen Square, because the Chinese government didn't want people putting a drone over there and filming what was going on. And now we're here, hearing that our own security services, probably just as likely to be using a counter drone to crash or triangulate the position of a journalist with a drone, which I think I've actually put this out and I'd seen this a while ago, and I did think it was worth mentioning anyway, because it's worrying language. But it was just out this week, given we have seen a photojournalist find himself in bother with the police, which we can sort of discuss later on.
So they've defined us as the enemy. The hobby and the press are the enemy. I mean, seriously, what's wrong with a government that sees free press and its citizens as the enemy when we've got far greater concerns out there in terms of security and safety? The world is a weird place. It's a very strange place. And did you see that meme? Would you see the meme that was on Twitter? What is it? We live in a time when intelligent people must be silenced so that stupid people are not offended.
Yeah. Let's have that audio again now that everyone has heard what we're thinking about.
The practices which our adversaries might use, or the practices which even are common in the UK with hobbyists or journalists or whoever it might be that's trying to put a drone in an environment where we don't want it. The second thing then is to have some confidence in the equipment that we're using. We gain that from the exercises that we go on, and that really gives confidence for the gunners operating the kit, but also in the command as well from the bottom up, that everyone is clear on what the threat is and clear on how to counter the threat as well.
The interesting there as well is
which our adversaries might use, or
it wasn't saying putting a drone where it's unsafe. It was saying putting a drone where we don't
want it. Yes, I know. I caught that as well. And now an interesting thing that we'll go on to that journalist as well. I thought this was quite interesting in that ADF, the Australian Army, Australian Defence Force Drone Racing Association, it's come. They're that Drone Shield are, become a sponsor, and they're actually working with them, which makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? I mean, that really does. That's bringing it in-house and properly testing counter UAS stuff. I think I'm a firm believer that militaries around the world should bring. They can easily. Hello, now talk about militaries all around the world, and upturns Mick. That can have stand up their own units to design stuff. We spoke before about Mick and his air cadet stuff, and Anthony's saying, notice that he called it a threat. So yes, people are and look, that's, if you happen to be on SES News, that's a fantastic consultancy service in Africa, pilot list. That's me and Luke. But anyway, that's another thing. Right, let's go on. Let's present stop that screen, and let's present where you were going with that other thing. It's seamless, this really, isn't it? So this is the journalist. Do you want to unpack this one a little bit, Ian?
Yeah, I think these cover a fair bit of the UK, but I know them more for work round West Yorkshire. I think primarily they seem to be working in this region, and they represent really sort of the new direction, the more recent years of the news, because it's increasingly difficult for newspapers to sell content and to keep people's interest and to get the news out there. So Yap App are one of these, I guess, kind of like a news agency where the direction they've taken with the way society has moved is, instead of everything being out in print and, you sending a photographer down eventually at some point from, it's literally trying to get everything boom now as it happens. So, the guys, they have a number of reporters available, and they're instantly going out. So they're waiting for people, literally texting them social media, that sometimes the people will be there and they'll give them the video directly, straight off the phone, saying this is what's going on now. And other times it'll be a case of they send the reporter out, which initially was reporter out with a camera recording it or a cell phone and putting it straight out as a stream. And then they realised, well, wait, we can use drones for this. Drones, even though they'll get some stuff on the ground, we know drones will get you a better view, particularly of something that's fairly fresh, because you get a reflection of the wider. For example, you've got a crime scene, you get the impression of exactly where it is, how big it is, and so on. So it's just generally, but people are more interested in seeing it where it's a drone, and probably the wider media, because the national newspapers and some of the TV will purchase this same video and reuse it. So that's the way they operate. And there's kind of funny, there's a bit of conflict between them and the existing print media that's out there, because the print media is actually trying to get a copy of this now. They send the reporter out and he's chatting straight away on his cell phone, no script or anything. It's just trying to explain what's going on. So it's all a bit more raw, compared to what you do something would be, where they'd sit down, they'd write a bit and present it. It's a bit more, whoop, here you are now. It's about the speed of getting it out rather than anything else. So we mentioned on the show before, actually, it wasn't Yap App in this occasion. It was just an attitude towards commercial operators trying to get a little bit of news themselves, because a lot of commercial ops won't generally go out and be grabbing news, in that they'll have more scheduled booked in work, but occasionally there might be something that's particularly huge and you'll go out and try and report it. And there's been this general issue where the police, when they just simply don't want you to be recorded, they're saying it's an emergency response effort and you can't film that, and that's what they've done here. But what they're never saying, and we had Richard Ryan on, who we know is a barrister and former CAA, an emergency response, the definition for that isn't just police going about their business. It's quite specific. Action is ongoing in order to preserve life protect the public,
Yeah.
or respond to a crime in progress. Yeah, and that's the important bit. So what we're seeing here, what's happened here with this particular reporter, is there's been a collision. I don't know how serious it is, but there's been a collision. So there's nobody there at the time. So the people involved in the collision aren't there. So it's not like you've got CPR going on. It's not like you've got because you'll do air ambulance and all this, and a lot of it's bullshit. That isn't going on. This is hours and hours and hours afterwards still. So this at this point in time is, generally you might be marking up, taping things, measuring distances, trying to work out whether dangerous driving was taking place. So that's normal routine police. The job that's just going on, and it's just simply getting a couple of photos, bit of video around to show people, this is where it is. So people will be on there, they'll be on Facebook going, over there, that's my street, blah blah, or it's just getting that kind of engagement going on. So it's with sub 250 drones. So in reality, it's doing no harm, but it's just this. Some police officers, it's not all by any means, but just some will take exception. And they'll take exception still if they're there with a camera at the crime scene. They'll try and stop them, but there aren't laws to stop you with a camera, so they can't do it. But they know because it's a drone, we have, basically you can be a dick with the drone laws if you want to be. And that's what we occasionally seeing. So in this case, he's had a police officer that's been up in his face, so he's trying to fly the drone and officers up against him kind of thing. So he's saying, and he's saying, officer, look, I'm just doing this. I'll be out of your way. And because the officer's there, their argument is he was distracting him. He couldn't see the drone because the officer's there. The drone then hits a lamppost and comes crashing down. Now, that'd be annoying enough, but then the police go, well, you're not having the drone back, and it starts raining. So there's rain going into the drone as well. So would you at least cover it up? And they're going, no. So they're actually... You've got the police officer then deciding to escalate and to be a problem in this whole thing. So they're saying, well, they wouldn't even cover it up. So you've got the drone damaged, being further damaged. They then confiscate it and with the memory card. Now, apparently, you can't just take a journalist's memory card. There's which I mentioned here about the PACE Act and bits and pieces around that, and saying you can't. You've got to have a court order apparently to be able to seize it. But anyway, they went ahead and seized it all. And then there's a further twist to it. So you've got this boy, can't put out his story. This has been taken away. And obviously, it's not a nice interaction that the journalist has had with the police. But then, to really double down on this, they then turn up at his house next morning and they've said, we want you to come in voluntarily to discuss matters, or we will arrest you, which is frankly, it's not voluntary. What they're doing is they're essentially arresting him without arrest being on there because they know probably they're on dodgy territory here and they don't want a false arrest case, if he then goes to fight it. So there've been a number of days where they've sat and gone out. My understanding is the drone has been handed back now, but they're still essentially threatening that, we're gonna take you to court on this. I'm not really convinced that they'd win if they took the score, especially if you've got like Richard involved. When you look at the wording, and if you're not preserving life, you're not protecting the public that time, you're doing your routine work, and you're saying that 250G drone is, stopping. You're trying to say that it doesn't fit the wording, of what happened. So we'll have to see what happens. But obviously, this is a slippery slope. This happened for twofold, really, with what had happened with Eddie Mitchell, because he got even worse than this. He was tackled down, drone crashed, and so on. But it was interesting that after that, and Gatwick was probably used as part of the narrative as well. The police got all these really, robust powers that were never needed. Like we could search your car, and they could use force against you. And it just came across as they wanted to make sure that if they did an Eddie Mitchell on someone else in future, that they wouldn't find it so easy to win in court. That's what this strikes me as, what's going on here. And it just means journalism with drones is under threat in a way that it isn't with a normal camera. You can use laws all the time to stop people reporting. And we've seen that in the US. We've seen it twice. I know you've mentioned one before, Gary, but the one I know is in Ferguson, where they were having essentially race riots. And they just basically didn't want police being filmed, battering a black man over the head with a club, going like this kind of thing. The scenes that they've been seen so often in America that, really feed even more mistrust of the police. But it didn't help. The good thing there, though, was it's all recorded, with the FAA. So over here, we're giving the police too much power to say, I'm closing airspace down. It's happening all the time. You can't do that in America. You've just call up the FAA and say, I want this closed down. And then there's a bit of debate there. And it's recorded so that after the event, they can go, what actually happened here? So with Ferguson, it was made out that this was, again, down to some safety issue, blah, blah, blah. And then it turned out it was only drones. And then the phone conversation was then, it was recorded, played back, where essentially the police officer was saying, we don't want drones, we don't want the press videoing what's going on with the drones. That was it. It was caught red-handed. And I fear that the way we've got the laws placed in the UK now, there's just that is just immediately available to be difficult and to stop the press recording an incident. I mean, it struck me, the way I mentioned it when I came on the show before on this one, was that was in Bradford, and what had happened was a young lad had been murdered. And it was embarrassing, it's embarrassing, especially for the police, because the police knew there were problems. They weren't stopping, basically there was lots of problem nightclubs and drug dealing and all this lot going on, and fighting outside in the streets and people getting injured. And nothing was being done about it. And the police had not gone to any of the licensing hearings, not contested anything. So, their record didn't look good. So the moment you then got the consequences of it, which is young people out on the street, it's after the police shift. So they're walking about, and if someone kicks off, there's no one there to do anything for them. They've got to call in, and by the time anyone's turned up, it's too late. But then, it's like, well, we don't want you, making this public, filming this crime scene, showing what's going on. It's bad for the, it's bad for the local economy and all this. All this comes into play when these things come out, and it's like, you don't get away with that with a normal camera, but with drones, you can start misusing the legislation that's there, say, no, we're going to do whatever we can to stop any of this video getting out. Because when it's with the ground, what they'll try and do is obviously you'll put the cordons further and further back and make sure, you'll try and interrupt the visibility of the scene. And that's something that's much more difficult with a drone. So, yeah, on this particular one, I think there's genuine questions to be asked there. The very fact that you're using that excuse, that wording, when it's not absolutely categorically not in order to preserve life, then I don't really see where the argument is. Come up with something better is what I would say.
Yeah, the whole legislative framework is really screwed up. For example, here in New Zealand, when our new Civil Aviation Act comes into effect, it empowers authorities to break down my door, come in and seize all my equipment if they suspect that I might be using it to break a rule. So if they suspect that I'm going to go out and fly my drone around my house, BV loss, FPV, they can break my door down, take away all my drones. Now, why is that different to if they suspect someone of going to commit a crime? They have to get a search warrant for any other cause, apart from maybe drugs if there's an immediate thing, but no search warrant required. Just break down the door, come and grab the drones, bugger off, and then you've got to prove that you weren't going to do something bad. It's getting really sort of, fascist and it's all big. Drones are the excuse because they know the public has this, a lot of the public has this hate of drones. So it's like when we had that pandemic thing, we'll put the fear into people. People will be scared of things, and we can use that fear as a means of enacting rules and laws and regulations that otherwise would not be acceptable to the public. So everybody fears drones. Look at Ukraine, look at everywhere. So we can slip these laws in because we can say the justification is someone think of the children? I mean, but no, it's completely irrational and unreasonable because we're solving a problem that doesn't exist. Where are all the bodies, as I keep saying, when it comes to recreational multi-rotor drone flying or, journalists using drones? They're not causing a problem. And now we've got the RAF saying that we are the enemy. For what? Because we fly toy drones. I'm sorry, but this is totally unacceptable. And as part of this whole thing, people have got to start pushing back. If you don't, then it's just going to continue on, and we hand over our freedoms willingly. We don't deserve to have them in the first place.
Absolutely. Right, let's move on very swiftly. No, and there's another. I'm trying to remember it actually. That's what I was looking, and I can't. Last week or the week before, I published a thing. There's another thing in the States where there was an environmental thing was uncovered by a drone, much like the Texas River of Blood incident years ago, and this new one's also been struck down because you can't be flying your drone over our factory or whatever it was and actually finding our pollution. How very dare you? And they got struck down again, as did the Texas one. They threw that out in the end. They went after the guys and they were polluting, I think it was the Trinity River, with pig's blood from a meat packing plant, and they'd laid a pipe from the factory out into the Trinity River, and somebody flying a very, very simple fixed-wing aircraft with a DSLR in front saw it, or saw in the photos afterwards, saw that the river was red where the pipeline came out, and the rest is history. But Texas actually changed the law to make it an offence to use amateur aerial imagery to discover environmental problems. So, hooray, and it's happened again. But I can't remember the story, which is terrible. Saw this today, and I'll put the link now in here. Here it comes. It's coming into the chat, and it might interest somebody here. And this is free, apparently, this fast 2D mapping. Drop your video files in there and they will make you a 2D map. I haven't tried it. I haven't had time today. So if anyone's interested, that's a freebie for you to try at your own discretion. Yeah, they assure me it's free. So
how's this work exactly then?
Don't know. You drop a video file in and it says it'll do it quickly and give you a map.
I refuse to use any service that won't give me a discount.
Yes. Yeah, you get what you're paying for, don't you?
Is there, I'm just thinking if we look that up, have they got an example of the output?
Let's have a look.
Let's have a look, Sky Browse.
Free rapid 2D mapping. It's all it says. That's from their lab. Maybe
it goes from freemium 0 up to premium $299 a month.
There you go.
It doesn't cost you anything to drop your files in there, but if you want the results, you've got to pay.
Probably is.
It's probably a Chinese site. It's all going back to China. They're logging it all. Oh no.
No. It is American. It's an American company, long known of. And I also was just trying to find it. I can't find it. Somebody's patented something that looks to me like a nonsense idea. A motor that is a ball that they can rotate as well for multi-rotors and VTOLs. So I can't think of anything more complicated than a ball that can spin fast enough. And unless you think it's easy, Bruce, I just think it's nuts. I don't know. What do you think?
It's like it's pivoted on the bottom or something, and it can rotate, and it's
the ball's spinning, and it's I guess
it's like vector thrust, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Why would you want that anyway?
For VTOL control in the hover, for separate lift, or for things that transition into forward flight.
You just have a hinge at the bottom, have a 2-axis hinge at the bottom. Why do you need a special motor?
Well, exactly. Why do you need this ball thing that is the ball is the motor? I mean, it's like, whoa.
Motors are a pancake shape for a very good reason. It's the most, it's the function drives the form. So if you try and change the form so it's a cool ball you can patent, it's not going to be as good as a regular motor with a hinge at the bottom.
Yeah, Yeah, no, absolutely. The second I saw it, that's why I'm kicking myself for not finding that video. It was put out today, because I thought you would have something to say on it, and I knew it was just looked nonsense when you saw it. So it's normally
But
a good
nonsense is what
indication.
sells these days. You sell the sizzle,
It
you don't
is.
sell the steak.
Absolutely. Cliff's
Speaking of
saying,
eVTOL,
yeah, go on then.
no, I was just saying
Have
that's
you-
the typical example. You're selling the sizzle, not the steak. eVTOLs.
Yeah.
It's all about the promise,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
about the
yeah.
delivery.
Oh, absolutely. And I see even, I think it was Forbes are even saying that the Amazon thing is like a bit meh. 'Cause it is like one tin of soup or one
little
one
bottle
thing
of
of wet
pills.
wipes. Yeah, a little bottle. Oh, you saw that as well. Yeah. And it is meh. It's a huge machine.
It's crazy. Yeah, but that's
Hardly
that's safe to fly over houses and people and roads and schools. But little recreational drones, no, because Amazon's got money. Apparently, money buys safety.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. We've got a video that we can share with you. Thanks
It's
to
giving you a bit of an example. It's good doing 3D models, but you're using video rather than photos as an input. So I guess it's supposed to be a bit more intuitive for people, maybe.
Oh,
yeah, that looks good.
Nice. Yeah.
Look at the damage it causes.
What?
Does it come with the music, or do you have to pay extra for that?
Yeah. Can you hear the music on this one?
Yeah. So it's
probably get that with
photogrammetry, really.
Done.
So they're saying 2D models, but it's photogrammetry, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the 2D models is a bit confusing, isn't it? From what they're showing.
Blood spatter.
We've missed the bit where if you try and do this, you get arrested and have your drone taken off.
Well, that music's annoying.
Isn't it?
Did that turn down for you?
Yeah, it's turned down now.
Yeah, okay. What bit did we miss? Because I couldn't hear you. Why are those people hugging that car?
They love it. They love it so much.
They love it.
So really, what they're offering here is similar to what you can do with some software locally.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's that other online tool as well, isn't there? You can use.
Yeah.
A couple of them.
Yeah, I mean, most of them are in photographs rather than video, but usually with photographs you get something that's pretty high definition. So whether this will be quite
awful,
good, I don't know.
So would you need some kind of information on the position, or is it just purely optical, or does it have some embedded information as well in the video file you need? Like if I gave it an FPV file of mine, which is just a straight MP4, would it be able to do anything with it?
Well, go and try it.
Yeah, I will. I'll go and have a go.
Yeah. We have our results live. That'd be great.
But it comes across there. It's more being targeted at the police and like marking a scene, because I do wonder. I mean, a lot of the use case behind the other modeling software is doing stuff more, quite precise about locations and that, where you might be in bother if it's not quite spot on. Whereas I wonder with this if it's a little more, it comes across a bit more casual, this, doesn't it? Very specific use cases.
This audience, terrible. You're terrible. A lot of you. You're exactly. It's exactly what any of us would say. I don't know. Anything. It's just the old man. It's old man nonsense in me again, isn't it? It's like anything with music like that. It's like nah. Whatever it is, nah. It's hinting at ad hoc photogrammetry. Yeah, it's just sort of. But we're definitely getting at the to the realm though, where those officers will be wandering around with some sort of handheld lidar and getting a really precise meshed imagery together of that.
It's worth noting with this, you can actually use, just for the audience, you might just want to show them this page. You've got NVIDIA Nerve, so I think all this is completely free, where you could do this on your local machine. The only downside you'd have compared to what we've seen there is you do get quite a few artifacts in it. But if you just want something where you roughly want to have a look around it from your video, I don't see any harm. I've seen a few nice examples that people put on social media.
And there's the newer one which starts to I can't remember what it's called, that starts to work out what the other angles are. This has gone even further, hasn't it, than the NVIDIA one? I can't remember what that's called, but yeah, instant nerf. Do you think they've got?
In fact, I think there's websites you can just upload your data.
Yes, the ultimate part of this is Gaussian
There you go.
splatting. Have you seen that?
That's it. That's what it is. Gaussian splatting, and who can't resist thinking about a little bit of Gaussian splatting, especially on the weekend. Let's have a look for a good video for
Lost my
that.
audio.
It's all right. Let's have a look for a good video for that. I'm never going to quickly find oh, here's a free. Well, that's interesting. Let's present this, and then I'll put the link up afterwards. Polycam. Another thing to have a go at me. Oh, and he went just like that. Yeah, exactly. Is it a porn game? Can anyone hear me?
Yeah,
No.
can hear you.
Oh, okay.
So what's the difference with this Gaussian splatter?
It's better. It's better at recreating bits that you can't see, I think, is the bottom line of it.
Okay, there's it's that demo video there, George. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not showing any. We're not seeing any obvious art. Oh, there might be a few artifacts there, judging by they look to be a little bit flowing in the air there.
See, I prefer the music. I'm sold.
Yeah.
It's all gone
You
quiet.
see, that's
I
not.
can't hear
It's
anything.
very different. Can't you hear anything? Oh dear, it's all gone. It's all much more gentle. It's sticks and buildings, and there's no splatter. There's no. Oh, and there's delicate structures. That's pretty neat, though, isn't it? Well, there's some very rough H1s. So that's just images, not videos as well, I guess. So it can be higher resolution. That's my best
that
guess.
comes across as though they're targeting phones as well, doesn't it? Rather than drones. I think it's all principally the same kind of thing, just probably slightly different algorithms and so on.
I think it is. Oh, there we are. John knows. He knows the answer. The big deal is it can handle reflective surfaces. Yeah. It's all gone quiet. Well, and okay. Just you. Just tell him. Look at his concerned look. I think we could hear him, couldn't we?
It's fixed now. My cable is crap. Fixed it. I don't know.
Oh, there we are. I was typing to say we could hear you. Yeah, you're right. That Gaussian splatting does seem the way forward, and it's going to be yet another one of these technologies that creep into our world, and we'll know about it in the drone world shortly. I'm going to have a go at that.
I did see an example. It's probably still an experimental stage, but someone had done what we've just seen essentially, but with video, so you could actually move around it and the angles while it was animated.
Yes,
which that'll be quite interesting as it progresses as a technology.
Yeah. No. There's game design and 3D video graphic. Yeah. It was an amazing world. I just said it, Bruce. It counts. Quite right. Quite right too. No, it's an interesting world we live in, isn't it? And what they're going to do? So, what are the police going to do when somebody walks around with a camera on a stick around a crime scene and creates a way better immersive scene than just the odd stills photos from their little Mavic or whatever? What are they going to do then? What are they going to do? And you could even just walk past, couldn't you, without them really knowing if you had it on your arm or something, without them even...
All you need is a ball with one of those cameras, and you can throw it up in the air, and it'll do a full map as it goes up and down. Everything's adjusted for the rolling shutter and everything, and you can get a lovely scene shot. And you're not allowed... There's no law against throwing balls around a crime scene that I'm aware of. Maybe that's a useful piece of tech someone should develop.
Oh, it's been developed. It keeps getting redeveloped, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Camera ball and the military one, chucking around a corner.
You get, the pro version comes with its own trebuchet or catapult, slingshot, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Long distance version. Yeah.
Well, given nothing's ever done about fireworks, one of my gripes, that's what we need.
Yeah.
The camera on a firework goes up, ejects it off, and the parachute, job done.
Boom.
Well, how was it? How was it for you last Sunday? Then that was Guy Fawkes night, I think, wasn't it?
Oh well, it's continually, you know, telling Guy Fawkes night from all the other nights isn't so easy.
Oh, really?
But yeah, it goes on for weeks before and weeks afterwards. But to be honest, at least locally, there wasn't too much. Wasn't too much disruption with the emergency services, but that's been in other cities. And when right up to Edinburgh, you know, there was fireworks being used against the police. It's something that it's all, unfortunately, it's down to national government to really tackle. And because a lot of the MPs that are in Parliament, you know, they tend to live in the posher areas, or, you know, living down south, you know, in these areas where there isn't the same level of antisocial problems. So they don't see it. So they think, what are you going on about? Fireworks are only used as a thing on bonfire night, and it's all happy jolly thing. They don't see what goes on in the urban areas and understand that actually, unfortunately, people these days are generally using them like dicks and firing them at each other and firing them at emergency services. And the problem with that is you only get something done after somebody, you know, usually somebody important has been badly injured by one, and then they suddenly say, "Oh, yeah, we have to do something about this," and it's, you know, you know, with something like that, I think it's come to the point where it should be organised displays, not sold to the members of the public, because
well, that's where Mark comes in, isn't it? Drone displays. That's what you need. That'll replace it all. I went into they're selling fireworks down the road here just before November the 5th. And I went into the shop where they've got these big buckets of explosives for $160. You know, if you're buying explosives, a kid can go in there 5 years old and buy these $160 worth of explosives and hurl it over the neighbor's fence. And I said, "Wow, do you sell drones?" "Oh no, they're too dangerous." I'm going to put a video up with that in it. It is so classic. "Oh, you buy this bucket of explosives, but oh no, we don't sell drones. They're too dangerous."
I'm just looking for some photos. I'm going to try that thing right now.
While you're doing that, I'll just mention that Brendan had retweeted, because it was interesting. They've done a survey here in the UK, and it was about 70% of the public had said they were now at the point where they were quite happy to see sales to the general public of fireworks banned. And Brendan is saying this is a good opportunity for the drone light shows. And a few people jumped on him. Not really necessary, really going, "Yeah, but I want drones and fireworks."
Yeah, man.
And it's like, yeah, it's fine for a, you know, organised display, but they're missing the point that the people's aggravation with it isn't the displays; it's what's going on in between. And unfortunately, the whole supply chain has a responsibility, because they know for a fact they're supplying to shops. They know it's a fact to supplying to kids and so on. And there's not enough responsibility taken there, you know. At least, you know, for all we moan when drones are given a hard time, there is generally a responsibility going along the line. And over the years, the industry's reacted to the regulator and so on. So it has made efforts where when you see then in other industries where really there aren't the efforts made, it kind of irks you a little bit more, because you're thinking there's, as Bruce has mentioned there, there's kind of a double standard and this kind of naivety when you're saying yeah, but look at the two of these things, which has got the more risk, and yeah, people don't see it the same way.
Yeah, would you rather be hit on the head with a DJI Mini 3 or a Roman candle? I mean, or whatever it is that they're shooting at you. I think I'd go for the drone every time.
Well, it started. We'll see how it does. That probably will do the end. Oh, that Morocco 3D scanner. Yeah, Morocco. Terrible name, but it does look very, very, very good. Especially in that it's one unit. And yes, I would like one.
There's a lot of those scanners on the market, isn't there? Some of them quite expensive.
Yeah, but it was also
you can do it with your phone as well. There's apps for your phone to do that sort of stuff, but they generally need a lot of tidying up.
Yeah. Does it have good music? All right.
Killer feature.
Morocco scanner. Let's have a look if it has good music. You're exactly right. On Kickstarter, it's 779 on Kickstarter, and yeah, I mean, I could definitely find a use for it, definitely. But I'm never sure about things that start up to 40% off. So what does that mean? It's going to be over, only 2,163. No, 2 million, sorry. It is spendy,
that's their target, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, 2 million there, pretty spendy. But yeah, but obviously it'll be copied, won't it, if it is successful? And it's in reviewers' hands, so it's pretty productionized. So they're obviously expecting to hit their target, aren't they? Yeah, I'd have one. I'd definitely have one, but it would have to be free. Now, where is that thing? Uploading. Wait until upload finishes to close the screen. All right, we'll do that. Is that not going to be done within the scope of this program? Definitely not. So, what else have we seen this week before we go? Because I
have some good stuff from the. Hang on, I'm going to find it here in my mailbox. I got a leaked internal memo from MAC in Australia. MAC in Canada. The National Model Flying Body.
Yes.
And not happy with just regulating outdoor sites. Now they're going to be regulating indoor sites. It says over the next few months, we will apply the same review and certify process to indoor sites. You'll have an SOC before the end of the year. It says indoor sites may continue to operate with existing approvals. No shutdowns over the next couple of months. The indoor site operators will submit rules, templates, and evaluation. Once approved, a new site operating certificate will be issued. Eventually, only indoor sites will have an SOC will be allowed to operate. So basically, they can't
as
certify.
As Mac Canada, or as anything else.
It's just Mac Canada.
Like
so if you're a member of the group, you have to have an SOC for your indoor operating site. Why? Really? Indoor models, do they pose that much of a risk to anybody?
Terrible things.
Sounds like they're trying to claw their way back into grace with Transport Canada by being seen to be very officious and very safety conscious. And seriously, but no one has any respect for Mac anymore. When after that fiasco with basically they just lost so many members and so much. No one gives a damn about them now. So they become quite irrelevant. Now everyone's just registering with Transport Canada and getting their little license and operating outside of Mac.
That's extraordinary. Don't you want to send that to me and I'll publish it as well?
Yeah, I'll forward it on to you if you like.
Yeah, goodness me. That's extraordinary. We don't want that rot to set in around the world, that concept.
No. Yeah.
Oh, no. And funny enough, I've just started making some little indoor flyers quite deliberately so that at least I can fly some at school with the children indoors. And that's me completely exempt from worrying about anything. Goodness me.
And I had to laugh. I watched the FPV Freedom Coalition's last town hall thing, and Dave Messina's gushing over these two guys that have developed a remote ID unit. They've developed it themselves. How fantastic is that? But if you look at what, who is it? Our friend, what's his name? /. He developed the throwies. The throwies. I mean, one guy, 20 minutes, he's made a throwie, and that's basically a remote ID unit. And anyone can do it. It's so simple to make remote ID. But the FPV
Well, even I
companies, they're gushing over this. These two guys are so smart. They've managed to produce this, and it's like, really, what's the big deal? And why are you focusing on compliance with something that's completely ridiculous in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
no one's pushing back. Then you get
there's one right there. That's one of my remote ID units, and mine. This is a very specially calibrated rubber band. And this sticky back plastic. But
I mean, the prices. I mean, in these prices, these things. There's another one that came onto the market, $179 in the USA. $179 for seriously, and Flight Test one is what, $100 or something, and Spectrum is going to be $90. And when you look at the component costs and the ease with which you can integrate those components and patch it together with a little bit of glue software, someone's making a killing. Someone's making a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, it depends on how many you manufacture, doesn't it? Because if you start off with a smallest batch, then you don't get it so cheap.
But I mean, but even then, the overhead in putting one together is minimal. I mean, you send it off to the PCB way, and they'll do the PCB for you. It populated, comes back. You put a plastic case around it, and away you go. In terms of the fulfillment chain, you can even get companies to fulfill it. You put it on Amazon, and Amazon will do the fulfillment. And so your costs are pretty minimal. And what annoys me is they're going, "Oh, we're cutting our costs to the bone. This is not making much profit." They're making a heap of money out of it, and it's because they know that people will have to buy these things to be compliant, and a lot of people will just be compliant, so they'll pay whatever it costs to get one, and they have to do it before March the 16th of next year, and so they've got a captive market. So it's what the market will bear rather than what the reasonable profit margin is. Holy Stone, I think I've got one out for $79, which is a Chinese company, and that is sort of one of the cheapest I've seen. That's fully self-contained, but it's still a big thing. It's quite a decent sized chunky thing. You're not going to put it on a discus launch glider, that's for sure.
It's and that next year's deadline is going to arrive quickly, isn't it? Before we know it, we'll be there. Goodness me, just giving that splat thing another go. Less images, just to see if we can make it happen quicker. Oh, there we go. There. Right, images away. Uploading 40. It's got to 50. There we are. It's gone past it now.
What I love about all that is, under the new remote ID rules, there is no commercial use of a craft like this. You're not allowed to use this commercially because of why? Is it too unsafe? Because there's no way you can put remote ID on this and still fly it. And if you're flying under 107, no matter where you fly, if you're flying under 107, you're going to have remote ID. Even at a freer, you'll still have to use a remote ID on it because you are operating under 107. So seriously, this is no longer this. So they're saying you've got to use a bigger, heavier, more dangerous craft than one of these. It's just this is when safety gets thrown out the door in favor of stupidity.
Well, all the Christmas ones, sold box ones should contain it, shouldn't they? Should absolutely contain it.
Not if they're sub 250, they don't have to. DJI is the only one that's forcing it on sub 250 craft. But but if someone bought one of those little ones and wanted to do a review of it and monetize it on YouTube, yes, they'd have to fit remote ID to do it legally.
It's the OnlyFans finally becoming, exactly. Yes. And I noticed on that site, it does poly.cam, it does photogrammetry as well. So I don't actually know who they are and or makes models and things like that. So that's quite interesting. I'll definitely run some pictures through that before the powers. If you're filmed out for this, yeah, that's true. Anyway, what else have we seen? Any more before we go? Before the power goes anyway. Yeah.
Didn't Ian have something on Gatwick, an update or something? But was there any updates on that in terms of photos or anything?
There's only a little one today that they're just filling in the blanks that the Home Office have released the title and times of the emails that had the Gatwick images, which revealed to us, that it was actually two emails. They emailed the video first and the photo afterwards. And with having the title on it, it gives the full trail. It originated with London Gatwick Airport, went on to the DFT, and then went on to the Home Office. So it was just interesting to trace it back to see where it had originated from, because obviously we knew there was a video there and the authorities were acting on it, but you couldn't say with 100% certainty that they pinned it as being the drone. Title gives away that they have. And obviously we wouldn't have known whether it came from Sussex Police or the airport staff, but with it saying it's come from London Gatwick Airport, it's come from the airport. Yeah, 2 minutes, I'll give you the Freedom of Information link. It's fresh from today, this is.
I think funny you should mention that. I think someone is creating a little bit of a something around all of this.
So there's the link there. There's it links onto some others. There's been about 3 around the images. So the video and images were shown on this show before that came out, and it looks like it was likely Sussex Police's own M210. Interestingly enough, they only got that drone 13 days before Gatwick. So this whole this whole idea that any of the airport staff would have even known what the police drone looked like is nonsense, because it was so new that it wouldn't have been unreasonable for anyone to think, oh, whose drone's this, and then report it.
Some 6, 3,
3. This was obviously the struggle, because the DFT, well, Sussex Police had told Parliament they didn't have any video, none had ever existed, and this obviously contradicts that. But also of interest that the DFT said they couldn't find this video. So it's just good that the Home Office have done the right thing. And an interesting note today, actually, that, well, we'll see, we may or may not have an influence on Gatwick, but I think he went into the King's speech today, but there is going to be a new crime. So there's going to be, what do they call it? Duty of candour for police in regards to investigations. So if you lie, this is basically being dubbed the Hillsborough law, because they found with the Hillsborough incident, there were a lot of porcupines told about what had gone on, and they don't want that to happen again with any incident. So if you as a police officer, you do a bit of bullshit about an incident and what's going on, you can face a sack. So whether that'll help with any of this, I really don't know, because it's mainly done for public inquiries. But then again, it talks about public bodies. I assume the ICO counts as a public body. So if they ask you, or if it goes past the ICO to a tribunal and you're in front of a judge and so on, it begs the question, are we going to get to more truth because you'll face bother otherwise? We don't know, but time will tell. Yeah, if you get down with it, to scroll to the bottom, I put in there what they said, but you can go one up and it's actually got the attachment. If you do that, viewers HTML, scroll down.
This one.
Yeah, viewers HTML should do it there. There we go, from the Home Office, and you scroll down, and you can see there. So the title of it is, there was the first one. Stop there.
Yeah.
So it's a video of the drone from LGW, and that was received by the Home Office at 4 p.m. on day 2 of the Gatwick incident. And then at 3 minutes past 6, they received official photo of the
drone.
And obviously we've seen it, and
bloody bullshit there. That's it, isn't it? Oh, I know. We'll call it the official photo, and then that'll make it real.
But you see, it just shows really it was garbage in, garbage out. People here would have been acting in good faith that they've been forwarded this and believing it's right, but you've essentially you're reacting off something that actually looks like it wasn't right in the first place, and it also just strikes you how much time has elapsed from everything happening in the say this was, you're looking at between 4 and 6 o'clock. Now, I think the transcode date on the video was around about 3 p.m. So I think that had been edited off the phone, and that transcode date, somebody editing it actually. So it's taken at least an hour and probably hours to get all the way to the Home Office. And then it was 9 p.m. before there was a decision that they were going to use counter-drone effectors. So, several hours takes place between them thinking there's even a drone and deciding on this is the action we're going to take, which in itself is quite revealing, where, these days decisions would be taken a lot faster. But, even it just says really that the whole thing, whatever way you argue, it's a bit of a farce, because it was closed down a lot longer than it needed to be, and decisions taken a lot longer than you'd expect them to. I mean, it's easy to say with hindsight, but then again, you shouldn't have needed a hindsight to say, well, the drone isn't flying about all this time. It isn't flying about in the rain. And if there's a drone there, you would be able to take a photograph of it. I think a lot of it was still common sense. And so there's still all those questions to ask. Because really what I'd like to see, and obviously that'd be another battle, is like with that email, did anyone even reply back and say, oh, wait a minute, is this all we've got? It'd be interesting to know, wouldn't it?
That's the thing, though. Once a mistake has been made, they must never acknowledge the mistake. They must always dig it deeper. They keep digging and covering up rather than saying, oh, look, we made a mistake. Honest, fess up. We've learned from this. We're moving on. No. It goes, oh, no. Cover it up. Hide everything. Deny everything. That's not the way. And this is what our council's doing here. It just seems to be the standard operating procedure for so many of these bureaucracies. Goodness me, it speaks to the lack of honesty.
They'd accept the liability for all the passenger issues. That's the trouble.
Yeah, but if they stuffed up, they should accept that liability. It's part of being honest. You accept your mistakes and you pay the penalties for making them.
And the interesting thing is, if they'd done it straight away, there wouldn't be all that liability. It was only because you drag it on for days.
That's what really did it, wasn't it? Yeah, exactly. They'd have got it over and done with in half a day or whatever. Yeah, you're right. All right. Well, look, we've just gone just over the hour, so I think that's good enough for government work, as they say. Because my power is going to go off in half an hour's time, so we better go. Hooray for power here, dear viewer, wherever you're in the world. Look after yourselves. We'll see you again 2100 GMT, and we'll see if anything exciting's happened in the drone world between here and then. Take care. Breaking news: Bruce on to fly drone at Gatwick. Yeah, that's right. He's allowed to fly at that airfield, but not at the other one. All right. Oh, hang on. It's processing that thing. My Gaussian splat is. I'm leaving you now as my Gaussian splat starts processing. We'll have more on this next week. Cheers all. Look after yourselves. Bye-bye.